Hi guys, welcome to the Clover Academy. We are going to integrate microservice CQRS pattern with the event source DB event sourcing framework. On top of it, you will be using Spring Boot. Let's get into the session, guys. Thank you. Hi guys, we are going to integrate microservice CQRS pattern, command query responsibility segregation, right? So we will be using with the event source uh, DB. So this is EventStoreDB framework. This framework we will be using that. So this will actually tracking the events, right, from when we are publishing the events one microservice to another microservice. This will track the not only state of the event, it will track the complete life cycle of the event. It will be tracking, right? So CQRS, where we are fit the use cases CQRS. Let's say I have a database microservice. I have microservice A and microservice B. Okay, whenever microservice A is doing some update in the database or writing something, so what we need is we need the data. Microservice A is connecting the DB. Whenever any transaction happen in microservice A, so the same data microservice B is required. But microservice A and B are independent database connected, but we need to sync the data from microservice A's database to microservice B database. We have to sync the data. We need the data. So to sync the data, right? So microservice we can, as I discussed in my earlier session, we can sync the data in the backend ETL jobs, but this is real-time data, so we cannot sync. Even you can use REST API, but this is not a synchronous communication, right? This is asynchronous communication. So whenever event will happen, update or happen in the database, we have to immediately receive the data and update in microservice B database, right? Microservice A, whenever there is any update or happen, so we have to update into microservice B database, right? So we have to so if whenever it happen any asynchronous communications, so we are going for event sourcing pattern, that's called CQRS, right? So we are whenever any transaction has happened in microservice A's database, it will sync the microservice B database. So how we can implement? If you see this diagram, UI is comment handler which is implemented in the microservice A, and query handler which is implemented in microservice B. So normally we cannot directly call the query from microservice A to B, because it's not directly we cannot call, right? Because those are not separate application. Microservice A is a separate application, microservice B is a separate applications. So if I want to call, then we are going for event source pattern, like event source pattern as I show on the screen. That's the event store pattern, event source framework, which we will be using that. So whenever any updates are happen in the microservice A's database, we have to create a comment, that's called comment event. We have to create a comment event. So what is the event type, what is the event ID, event time, and what data we are going to sync. So what information, like personal detail, let's say personal details, so person name, age, and we are going to sync that the data. So that payload, so right, that payload is comes as a comment, right? So it has to create, when you are updating the database A, microservice A, it has to create a comment, and then that comment will be received by microservice B using query handler. So this will use the query handler. Query handler will receive directly, will query that from the event sourcing, and then it will read that comment, and then it will update into the database, read database, so that whenever you want to view, we can read the microservice B database, right? So that's how we are using CQRS. So to use the CQRS, we cannot directly use that. We have to use any of the event source framework. So I'm going to use Event Store. It's an open source which will be tracking the events. So any updates are happen, so it will be creating the comment event. So that event will be tracking the life cycle of the event. So any like update or read or delete, so any events are happen, that particular event will be tracked. Event information will be stored into the event sourcing framework, event sourcing store, it will be stored that. So number, because the events can be stored thousands or thousands or 10,000 or maybe 1 million events can be triggered, right? It's very difficult to track that normally. If if you are using normally, if you want to track those events, it's very difficult. That's why we are going for event sourcing framework. That's called EventStoreDB. So which is handling the thousands plus events, and it will be tracked, and whenever the event data we can retrieve from the EventStore.db and we can update into the database, right? So to install that event store, we can type it, install event store db in local. EventStoreDB can be installed in multiple ways using Docker or Kubernetes clusters operator, or in local. I'm using local. So since I'm using local, I'm just going to download that event sourcing. So this for Windows. We can find this. This is a framework. This for .NET. But we can download the binaries. So I just downloaded the binaries. Download. If we click download binaries, it will go to this page where you can download the latest version, EventStoreDB. We can download that. Once you download that, we can extract into the local folder. So I just extracted already. So and then we have to start that the unsecured mode. Since it's a local, I started the unsecured mode. Certificate I have not used directly. I'm using that. So we have to add in the class path variable, that bin directory, and then we can copy this command cluster IP. So go to the folder, root folder, EventStore installation root folder, and then fire this command, EventStore.cluster node. There will be multiple cluster we can set up. So since I use a single cluster node in my local, and insecure projection all, start standard projections, enable auto. So this is a command to start the event sourcing framework, EventStoreDB, right? I started EventStoreDB starting. So in the meantime, so and then we have to configure, we have to download the code base already there for CQRS, how to implement CQRS. CQRS pattern microservice implementation with EventStoreDB git URL. If you type git, I think it will go there. Medium, no, this is not the URL. So I think there's a GitHub URL. So I can show the GitHub URL. This is a GitHub URL. You can note this GitHub URL. You can download the source code from that. They have built the projects, base projects, and the nested projects, and aggregate module, and then shared module, which is shared the module between two microservices. So query microservice and command microservice. So you can go to the code and then copy this URL and then clone. Go to git bash and then clone this. Git, I already given that, git clone http this git URL. It will be cloned. Before that, you create a folder. Go to this particular folder, and then you can git clone. We can use that, this command, git clone. Once you've done that, and then you can directly import into the Java Eclipse. So if you import Eclipse, you will get the root directory. So you can see the aggregate module is a common module which can be used by microservice A and B. Let's say here query is one microservice, and command is another microservice. Shared, this is a shared module between both microservices. This will be shared because even created event deleted event, so event can be used in both microservices, right? So it has to be common, right? If you are going one microservice, the business object is there, we cannot access another microservice, very difficult. So only one microservice is independent of all the source code for that microservice. That's the reason we are common things we are moving to the shared module. I will elaborate what are the shared module, what are the aggregates are there. And if you see the root here, you can see there is another module, Kurkus. So this for Kubernetes, so you can ignore this. And Spring Boot, if you see Spring Boot, expand this module, you can check, see, comment is one microservice and query is another microservice, and then shared, inside the shared modules are there. So if you see this query microservice, I have used to store the data. Any database we can use. I used in-memory database, so I just store this configuration for in-memory database. This is for query microservice, right? is for query microservice. The database, it will be stored, all the events will be stored in this microservice. I'm not doing the exact operation, so when I receiving the event and we have to update into the database, whichever database you want, we can update the data and then we can manipulate it. I'm just directly writing the event into the in-memory database whenever I'm receiving from comment microservice. This is a comment microservice. This is a common microservice. See, this is a common microservice. Here the property in this, the property configuration, nothing, just like port number and then JSON parser and then controller and the application. That's it. Person controller. This is a common microservice. And then if you go on the top, we can see aggregator. This aggregate module. It's a common like repository will be there. Event sourcing repository implementation will be there in that. You can go through it once download the source code. Aggregate and then shared module is nothing but create command person, and then delete person command, person created event. Create command is used in the command microservice. Person created event is used in the query microservice. But both microservices used this business objects between this. That's the reason all business ID and person name and person ID object. So all this business object will be extend the aggregate root UID. So this has to be extend the post created event, abstract domain event, and if you see create person command, it has to unadd the domain event and entity path, and then it has to which domain person ID class, and it has to extend the abstract aggregate command, and we have to give like this way we have to implement, right? So we can customize based on our use cases. I'm just showing the existing code what they have implemented, and then see, this is a delete, and delete also is same like delete person created command. So we have to extend this and we have to annotate that. But created event, we no need to annotate that. Is abstract domain event. You have to extend the domain event. This is a class, right? So and then these are entity. So now we have gone through the shared module and aggregate. We are going to now aggregate. Aggregate is also simple. It has the exception and repository, event store repository, event sourcing repository. So this repository will be used in query handler and query handler microservice, and command handler microservice will be using that. And person, this is this object, this person object also is common. So that's why it's there in the aggregator. So how do we communicate this? Both microservice, query and command microservice. That's called, we are creating aggregator ID. That should be a unique ID. So here we are using person ID. Person ID is the common between both microservices. It will be whenever we are receiving this data, command data, it will check the event ID. That's called event ID. See the structure. This is simple structure I have created. For this is for testing this existing code implementation. So event ID, this event ID we can create. This is the event ID between both microservices, common microservice and query microservice, and timestamp what time we are sending. So this will be basically calling from the UI, but I am just writing the postman for testing that, right? So person, this ID also should be unique, and this name of the person. So this is all the data. If you want employees details, we can give the structure, payload structure, right? And then this will be sending to this will be created in the command microservices, and then this will be received by the query microservice. I can show you how we can do that. And now I think event sourcing, EventStoreDb started. You can access the URL. This is the URL, like HTTP 171.2.117. It will ask the port number, and we can, this port it will start. See, it is started. And then stream browser, these events are already stored. This event I had tested while testing. These events are coming. I think we can delete these events. Clear option we don't have, only odd event option is there. So delete is there. We can delete the events. We can delete it one by one. I'm deleting these events. This is while testing, I just got these events, so I'm deleting, otherwise it will be confusing. So let me delete this. I'm not able to delete all the events. Anyhow, let it be. Now there are 7, right? 7 is there. So and then if we go to We have seen aggregator, right? We have seen aggregator has to be created, shared, it has to both domain events which will be used in query and command, it has to go to shared module. So share module, and then this is Kurkas, you can leave. This is comment microservice. If you see the comment microservice, simple, just person rest handler. This rest handler, we are publishing the event, just creating the person event. So you can check the create, this will be passed to the postman, rest postman. This is the event data, this data. So this data will be passed here as a payload, and then this will be created the aggregator root id, person name, and then it will be persisted in the event source, it will be persisted in the EventStoreDb. And then, so this is how we have to publish the event. Comment, this is a comment, right? Creating the comment query microservice, it will create the comment event, and then we will go to query microservice where query handler will be there. Here if you see projection and projector service, you can go through this. Projection will be created. These are out of the box, these are the same thing for all the implementation, you can do that. And application, and this is a created event handler, both person created event handler. This is a created event handler, so we have to use this will receive the event. So you can check this handle method override receive the personal created event, and then retrieve the object and store it into the database. Just simply this is receiving, right? Like the deleted event handler, we have to use deleted transaction, we have a separate event handler, it has to be extended, and then it has to receive that event, deleted event. So here it has event, like here this is a create event handler, so we have to create an event handler and we have to implement that. And list handler, this is list out all the events, that's the rest controller. This is just for just created just for our use cases, this is not part of that, just for viewing that. Personal chunk handler, dispatcher, we have to create a dispatcher. This will dispatch the event between the both microservices, so we have to create the dispatcher, create handler or deleted handler, delete action and create action, right? And then list projector we have to create. This is a common again, this will be this same for most of the use cases, this will be repeated. And the main thing is create event handler, these things, query handler, and then comment, we have to create a comment handler, right? So, and then this application or property, so this is a query handler, we have to use, I'm using in-memory database, so all the event will be stored in this database as well. This will be, we are storing, retrieving and storing into the database. Comment will be retrieved and storing into the database. Now I'm going to start the application. So I'm just going to start the Spring Boot comment microservice. I'm going to start Spring Boot comment microservice. Now I started Spring Boot comment microservice. Let's see, it started successfully, so we have no error. And then I'm going to start query microservice. I'm going to start, click, and then query microservice. I started query microservice. So query microservice, currently if we check that it is not receiving any of the events in the log, you can check that there are no events are received. Yeah, no events started, some events is trying to receive but it's not received. Okay, it's because some of the events we are removed, that's why reason it's happening, that's fine. Now I'm going to launch that event, I'm going to create an event. So this is the event creation 3 and then here I'm going to view 8.3 I have added, and here I am giving like Cloud 4 Academy. I'm just firing the event. Now this comment is created, so this is the REST API. This REST API is there in the comment handler microservice. So this is a REST API. So if I see this is a REST API. So this is REST API will receive this comment. So it will create a comment. I'm just the REST API URL, and I'm calling the comment microservice with this data, this payload. So this will be event. Normally when you are updating the database, this will come from UI will do some changes in this database. They are going to write operation they are doing. So this is the write operation, and then it will trigger the event. It will create an event, comment event, and then it will be received by the query handler microservice. I'm just sending. It's sending. Yeah, success. Type is success. We can check here. Command microservice. Command microservice launched. I removed the events, right? That's why this issue is casting. Just keep on going. Otherwise this error will not come. Okay. And now I'm going to check these events are received. Already 7 is there. So I'm just checking this. Yeah, see, it's additional events. So now new events are happen. You can check this latest event. So this latest event, what is the timing? It is received 7:15, 8:56. So this is a timing. So this time on new events are received. So we can check it the event source DB, EventStoreDB. We can check that. See the timing, create a timing, and we can expand that. See what is the ID? 963 last digit. You can check 223 963. So Cloud4 Academy, yeah, Cloud4 Academy. So this event ID, and then timing, and we pass data Cloud4 Academy. So now events are received. If you go to the microservice, query microservice, it will receive, but this is currently it is keep on receiving because some of the events we have deleted from the event sourcing. That's why this issue is happening. That's not a problem, but we can check this event sourcing. It's received, right? Events are received, and I'm going to restart again this query microservice. How it is receiving, we can check that. Query microservice. I'm just, yeah, now this microservice is fine, started, but query microservice is causing some issue because of receiving the event. Command query microservice query. Okay, before that I have to show you how to build the service. So but I'm directly started. So here we can check query, started query microservice, query handler microservice. Let's say keep on going. I think repeated call will happen because I remove the event, right? Yeah, see, null pointer exception get content type because event data is null. Yeah, we removed some of the event, that's why it's causing this issue. It's keep on going infinite loop. Otherwise this will be received the event. It is trying to receive the events, existing events which are already there in the database. Okay, so now if we need to build that, right? So I just stop both thing, and we need to build that, right? To build that, we no need to go one by one to build that one by one microservice. This is a root parent microservice, sorry, parent module. You can go to parent module, pom.xml, click pom.xml, right click, run as, and then maven build maven package. So this will build all the modules, all the nested module. This will be built. So we don't need to go to the particular module and build that. That is also can do, but we can run the parent module pom.xml as it did, and it will create a jar for all the microservices, for all the modules, shared module, aggregate module, and command handler, query handler. Everything will be built here. So it is going on. Take some time. Yeah, it is taking time. So QRS we no need to use, that is used in the when deploying to the Kubernetes. See, build is success, root is success build, and then shared module, aggregate, and root again, shared, and query, command, root. So this root commands query, this is a QRS. You can leave it, but it will be build. So now it's build. If you want to check the jar whether it's build or not, you can check that. You can go to the not QRS, you can go to the Spring Boot, and you can check the jar. Target directory, you can expand that. See, jar is created. So jar is created like that. All the modules you can go to, and we can check that whether jar is created or not. Once jar is created, then we can start the microservice. Let's say I'm going to start query microservice. So we are not supposed to remove the existing event. That's the reason it's causing the issue. It's keep on going. But anyhow, we will see that. I will show that. Now I started only query microservice. I have not started command microservice. So yeah, it's going, and then I'm going to start command microservice as well. Command microservice. Yeah, I'm sorry. To start that the application command already started. Okay, now I'm going to start. I'm going to view the H2 console, H2 in-memory database. Whether this database is running in query handler microservice, right? We can just go to this directory. No, oh, sorry, 82 port 82. Yeah, it's running. Connect. You can check that person list run. There are no events are received. Is also not received because it will receive these events here. Projection list, if you run that, it will work. If you take your code, definitely it will work. But the problem is I have deleted the event because of the demo. I deleted the existing events. ID, name, everything will be showed here. But since we deleted the event from the event store, it's not coming. So we will see any other way to roll back this. If you disable or not available, or if you don't disable the projection, disable. If you disable it, yeah, stopped all the events. So now I think still it's causing, still it's loading. So I'm just going to restart again. Query projection is stopped it. Let's see whether it's still reading or not. I think it will reading again. So that's not a problem. Whenever a command is created, it will show here. See, it's trying to receive the command. So that's what it is doing. That's fine. It's receiving that. It's receiving the command is trying to receive that. But the events are not found. That's not a problem. So suppose if I want to projection enable. So if I want to, let's say I'm going to configure another event. I'm just publishing 1 and here also you can change the number, otherwise it will say Cloud for Academy students, great students. I click that, command is created, command is published. If you so here this will keep on launching, no problem. This so you can check here any events are fired. So this is latest event. See, this event is fired. So is students. So this is fired. But database is not displaying because it's happening an infinite loop. That's why it's not coming. It's not a problem. So it's not writing because there's some errors, console in the error. It's trying to receive the existing event which we deleted, right? This way. Otherwise, this projection list and this person list will have the data. It will store the column is there, but data is not stored because it's keep on trying to receive the existing events. See, it's keep on going. So we are not supposed to delete that, but one second, we will restart the event again. So maybe this error will be reduced. So I'm going back here. Going back. I'm just restart the event. Yeah, restarted. Okay, I think now this should be fine. See the log also, you can see the projection IDs delivering this. And then I'm going back, checking event store, clicking event store, dashboard. This is a dashboard, and then events data we can check here. And now I'm going to start query microservice again. Let's see any luck is there. I restarted the no, still no luck. It is trying to retrieve the events. That's not a problem. So when you are implementing and or build the module and deploying that, this will be receiving the event and it will store the database. It is not a actual use case. I've just for the demo I just created like this. It will go here and it will store it into the database. This is a code base which is available in the GitHub. So if you run this, it will display the data. That's fine. But receive because we are not supposed to be deleted. That's fine. So now we have implemented the CQRS and we are using EventStoreDB for event sourcing, and then we have just created the event, and then that event will be received by a command microservice, and then query handler microservice will receive that event and store it into the in-memory database, H2 database, and then that event will be stored into the EventStoreDB, where we can check. We have seen that, right, where the event are stored. Whatever event you are publishing, it is successfully published. So this is how we have to implement the CQRS pattern. And we have, when you are creating the project structure, the project structure should be like this only, because you have to create a common module. It has to go the common module. Doesn't have any configuration, only the business object and handler should be going there. And then other than that, query handler, command handler has to be command microservice. Query handler will be there in the query microservices, right? That's it. Thank you for watching and listening. We are looking forward to join our Cloud4 Academy.